After recent comments from Montreal Canadiens forward Patrik Laine on his time with the Columbus Blue Jackets and a response by defenseman Zach Werenski, it seems like we have a very interesting war of words. Today we're going to take a look at what Laine had to say, the response from Werenski, discuss the scenario, and see how things could play out moving forward with this feud coming up next. Welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today we're taking a look at a war of words and a feud brewing from Patrik Laine and his former team, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, of course, we know yesterday, December the 23rd, the Montreal Canadiens made their first visit to Columbus for their NHL regular season game last night, of course, which would be Patrik Laine's return to the Blue Jackets, his first time playing in Columbus since the trade to Montreal. Now, he was, according to what we've seen from sources in the Jackets organization, expected to get a welcome back video and be acknowledged, and that was changed and not gone ahead with after the comments from Laine after speaking to the media earlier in the day. Now, in my video yesterday, recapping all of the day's news and rumors, I did take a look at the Laine comments. But of course, last night after the game, we had quite a rebuttal from Jackets defenseman Zach Werenski. So let's, I want to take it first. We'll recap the Laine stuff side of it, just in case people don't know that side of it. And we'll take a look at what Werenski had to say in response and kind of analyze this and see, do we really know or have an opinion on who's at fault, how this is going to play out moving forward? It's kind of difficult to say. So, of course, Patrik Laine, earlier in the day, speaking to the media, was asked about his time with the Columbus Blue Jackets, and he basically absolutely trashed the organization. He said, here's the main part of the quote that I think really riled things up and kind of upset everybody the most, but essentially that they're a little too satisfied and too comfortable with where they're at. It really wasn't a fit for me anymore. But here in Montreal, it doesn't matter if we're winning or if we're losing. We're always trying our best. That's what I feel about it when it comes to the Columbus Blue Jackets. And then when he was pressed a little bit further, he said, there were people there that were way too comfortable and fine with losing and just doing the same thing year after year. He had previously made a comment about by the time you get to December, your season's pretty much over. You start looking ahead going to the next year, kind of just going through the motions. And that essentially too many people, and he didn't specify players or management, but in my opinion, I know some people have the take on it I've seen on social media saying he was directing this on management. I don't think that's the case, to be completely honest. They've got a whole new management team here that have only been there for a few months. So I'm not really sure how he can make these kind of scathing comments towards them when they haven't been there very long. Now, obviously he can speak to the management while he was there. But I know the other big part of this is not just the comments that he made, but we know that during his time in Columbus, he was injured a lot. He didn't exactly have a great success. And then, of course, in his last season, he spent a good amount of time in the NHLPA Player Assistance Program. So clearly, from everything that we had seen and heard, it sure sounded like he was getting a lot of support from the Columbus players, teammates, management, what have you. So, after going through what he went through and the team feeling like they were very supportive, good friends, good teammates, for him to come back on his first visit and absolutely torch them like that, they're pissed and they're upset about it, thinking it wasn't called for. I can understand why they would feel that way. I guess the one thing that I keep thinking back to is actually a comment that I had heard, or an opinion, I guess, from Elliot Friedman. He's like, and this is true, and I do agree with him on this 100%. He says, we always say that we'd like to see NHL players show more of their true selves, give more of their opinions, and not just always give short, cliche answers, right? So when they speak their minds and they give their true feelings, we can't tear them apart and shred them for doing that, because we're always saying we want to hear more of it. Well, I think it's fair to say Patrik Laine certainly shared a good amount of his true feelings on his time with the Columbus Blue Jackets. And of course, those were not well received. So I'm not going to tear him apart and really criticize him for speaking his mind. However, I don't know that it was done in the best way possible. Because, based on the part of his comment here where he says that essentially that, in Montreal, doesn't matter if they're winning or losing, they're always trying their best. That, to me, I take that as that the Columbus players are not always trying their best. So, I mean, if I'm a Blue Jackets player and I feel like I work hard every single game and I'm putting the effort in, I'm going to probably take offense to that. So there's that part of it. And obviously saying that people were fine with losing. Sometimes you see ownership management maybe being okay with losing because it gets them a higher draft pick. Players, they're not wired that way. You can't tell a group of NHL professional players, we want you to go lose. Like, that's some guy. I mean, what usually happens is ownership and management make the team so bad that it's going to happen anyway, right? When they want a team to tank. But, telling a professional athlete not to compete and not to do as hard as and not try to win, good luck with that. You're not going to get that. I mean, that's why you sometimes hear fans complaining that the team is not tanking well enough. Well, tell a competitive athlete, not to do his best. It's not easy to do by any means. So I completely understand why the Blue Jackets are really ticked over these comments. And for Patrik Laine, I mean, obviously I'm not there. I can't speak to his personal experience. These are his opinions. And like I said, we encourage and would like to see players more speak their true feelings on things. So it's tough to come across here and completely criticize him. But he had to expect that he was really going to stir things up. It was pretty clear during his time in this game last night that he was being targeted by Blue Jackets players, that they were not happy about it and they were making a point to make it known. Even in the intermission, they interviewed Matthew Olivier, and he was asked if this was a targeted thing, if they were motivated to target him because of those comments, and he didn't really want to comment on it. He kind of made a statement without really saying anything. So I think it's pretty fair to say that, yeah, they're upset, they're targeting him, they wanted to let him know they were not pleased with his comments. So after the game, we get a response from defenseman Zach Werenski, who's, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the longest serving Columbus Blue Jacket player right now, who's been there a long time. Obviously, very proud member of the club, one of the few guys that have been kind of drafted, developed, and kind of, if you will, like you're born and raised kind of guys that grew up there and have been a big part of this team for a long time, and have made the effort to stay there and try to turn things around. So it's a long quote here from Werenski. I'll show you on the screen. So he says, when asked about if he had heard Laine's comments, he says, yeah, it's unfortunate. As guys in here, and as a guy who's been here, we were nothing but good teammates to him, nothing but good friends to him. For him to bash us like that, I think it's just unacceptable. I hope he's all right with whatever he's dealing with tonight, but he didn't finish the game. A couple hits, I don't know what happened, but it's unfortunate. We were nothing but good teammates to him. For him to come here and say all that, that's bullshit. Definitely not happy, and none of us in this room were happy about it. That speaks more about him than it does us. And then when he was pressed a little bit further, he went on to also say that, asking if it was, added some extra motivation for tonight in the game. He said, yes, 100%. What's he thinking saying that? It's just incredible. It's got no time. I've got no time for that. I don't really want to talk about Patty anymore. So, Patrik Laine's gone to Montreal. He got injured, so he missed the start of the season. Since he's come back and played, he's been phenomenal on the power play. To be completely fair, I don't think 5-on-5, he's been all that great. His plus-minus is horrible. So besides scoring on the power play, it's not like his line is not doing well on the ice on even strength play. Like we've heard some people say, Laine is the way Laine is. He is probably one of the best pure shooters in the league, and it might be even fair to say he's a one-trick pony. He's got a terrific shot, and he can score goals, which is probably the hardest thing to do in hockey. However, are you going to get strong back checks, good defensive play, all those other things that you kind of want a 200-foot game? Not a chance. Is he going to win a lot of board battles? No. Some people say he's a little bit soft. Obviously he didn't finish the game. I didn't see the entire game. Of course, it was December 23rd. I was busy trying to finish getting ready for the holidays. I did watch as much hockey as I could, but I did miss. I probably saw half of the Montreal Columbus game. I didn't see the early part where he ended up leaving the game. By the time I was able to get into that game, they were already into the second period. So yeah, it just, like I said, I'm not going to criticize Laine for doing the things we'd like to see more, but he had to be ready and expect repercussions. And the other thing, too, is I think he could have chosen his words a little bit wiser, because to be fair, I think he cost his team the game. Because he really upset the opposition to be extra motivated to beat them. And they did, So clearly, they lost the 2 points. He leaves injured. We don't know the extent of it. Like I said, he's got a reputation for being a little soft. I know there was a report, I know I heard Jeff Merrick talking about with Greg Wyshynski back in his early days in Winnipeg, that when they'd go on the road, back when he was more of a gamer, and he certainly, I think, fair to say, had a gaming addiction, that he would, in every hotel room they were in, the TVs were never big enough for him to use as a monitor to play his video games, so he would always, every city he would be in, they would have the team help him order in a massive big screen to play his games on for the short time they were there. Then he would just leave it behind and move on. So he was wasting money, wasting resources. Not going to completely bash his character here. Clearly, Laine's been through a lot. And I think that there's lots of Laine's game and personality that can really be a good thing. He seems like there's a lot of things that are likable about him. But you have to wonder now, this is his third team. We know things went on in Winnipeg that, clearly led to his exit. A lot of, from what we've seen before, kind of looked like it might have been leadership at the time, kind of not jiving well with him. If you look at what's going on in Vancouver and the fiery personality of JT Miller and the softer personality of Elias Pettersson, could have been the same sort of thing with Blake Wheeler and Patrick Laine. I can see how that would have been a very comparable, set of personalities and how things could play out. So it's an interesting scenario. It certainly could cause more bad blood between these two teams, which isn't all bad. We need more rivalries in sport. But I think for Laine, I just honestly think that he could have said, gotten his point across without bashing him quite so hard and making it sound like he was going after the players, because clearly, like I said, it motivated them to go after him, to target him, so he gets hurt and the team loses as well. It just did not have the outcome that he wanted with that. I'm sure he much would have rather have gone in there and come out on top with victory, but instead did not happen. So let me know what you think. Is this going to lead to a bigger rivalry? Are we going to hear more comments from Laine? Is Laine going to maybe change his approach here? What do you think? And also with Laine in Montreal, I have to say, as much as he's been phenomenal on the power play, he's been playing a lot with like Newhook and Doc. I just don't see that line working out at all. I honestly think Montreal and Marty St. Louis needs to get some better line mates for him. If he's going to get any 5-on-5 production, he needs guys that can get him the puck, and those guys are not playing that well right now. Both of those trades, in my opinion, are not looking good. I'd really like to see Marty St. Louis change things up, or better yet, Ken Hughes and Jeff Gordon go out and try to find a better group, a better trio for him to be working with. I really think if they're going to bring that out in him and really have him be a 40-50 goal scorer, I think he needs way better line mates. If he can play with Suzuki, maybe, but obviously you get Caulfield there too, and you got to keep him going, and those two have great history. So it's difficult to say. So let me know what you think on this whole Laine Columbus situation with the remarks and comeback here from Zach Werenski. What are your thoughts on how it played out, what it could lead to down the road, and we'll discuss further in the comment section. If you're new to the channel, of course, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with the latest news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.